Morning, everyone. Welcome to our Mind the Moment's Tuesday morning gathering, brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. This is a place where we invite experienced mindfulness instructors to speak with us about what mindfulness means to them and to discuss as a community how we can incorporate these practices into our daily lives. I'm Suzanne Rowe Palacino, and I am more than delighted to be here with Greg Topakian, instructor with Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. Thank you so much for being here, Greg. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Suzanne, and wonderful to see you as always. And for all you folks out there, wonderful to be here and to have this opportunity to practice mindfulness with you and to see how we can bring it into our daily life.
Yeah, it seems like it's been too long since you've been here, Greg. So
It has,
I can't even remember when it last was, but it's been too long. So,
but we're in the present moment right now.
but we're in the present moment, so we'll stay there. So nice to have you. So, for anyone that's new, a special welcome to you. We're so glad to have you with us this morning. And as always, really so happy to be here with the regular folks that come week in and week out. So for anyone that's new, today we'll start off with a question for the group, as we always do. And after that, we'll have an opportunity to chat a little bit through the Zoom chat. And then Greg will lead us in at least a 12-minute guided meditation practice. And after that, we'll have time for questions. So if you go to the bottom of your Zoom screen and open up the chat, and you'll see at the bottom of that screen, there's a drop-down menu that says hosts and panelists. And you can click on that blue drop-down menu and click on everyone, and folks can see your comments as they come in. All right, so Greg, with that, what question do you want to start us off with this morning?
Well, the question I have for you and for me and for Suzanne is, what do you do to help yourself to so you can respond to life with a little more grace and balance? What do you do to help yourself so you can respond to life with a little more grace and balance?
It's a good question, right?
Yeah, how do we do that? How do we help ourselves? What are the little things we can do?
I have a few for sure. If anytime I feel like I'm just, my mind is ruminating or I'm swirling out of my comfort zone, I sit down and I if I can, I'll sit down and meditate, but I at least take a pause and a breath.
Yeah, yeah.
And the second thing is what Janice has just shared, is going outside for a walk and just spending time outside.
Yeah.
There's something about that helps me reset. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Getting into my body, just if I'm sitting down, something's happening in a meeting that is pushing my buttons. I can feel my hands pressing on my knees a little bit, just to sort of ground myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, take a beat.
Yeah, it really is true. The body tells us a lot.
The body keeps score, as he says, right?
Yes. I like what Carmen said here too, is meditation's helpful. And she also, they also intentionally slow their schedule down. And
Right.
that can be hard to do, but sometimes just saying no to things. Yeah, I really like that. Take a beat, pause before reacting and deciding. Take a breath before responding to any unpleasant or negative situation. Recognizing tension and letting it go. Yeah, reminding myself how lucky I am.
Yeah, gratitude practice. Yeah.
For sure. Coming here. Thank you, Colleen. Spending time alone. Exercise. Yeah.
Get in the body. Get a little space for myself. Yeah, Kelly.
What strategies do people have for maintaining mindfulness during a stressful, busy day? Yeah, that's a good question. And maybe we can think about that one, Temmie. What strategies do people use when they're busy and in the office? And this sounds like a general question out to folks. Trying to remove myself from the situation. Yeah, take a break with alone time. Yeah, that's good. Having an opportunity to stretch at work, that's a big deal. Sometimes people don't
Always, yeah, always love to stretch.
even go outside, touch the grass. Yeah, all
Yeah,
very interesting ways to deal with the ups and downs, right?
they're going to happen, right? It's normal for them to happen. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so the question is, when they happen, how do we respond? If we're not awake, we can often react in our habitual ways that maybe don't help, that make it a little bit worse. And what's exciting and what's positive is that there are other ways. We can train the mind to maybe respond in ways that can be helpful rather than adding gasoline to the fire, so to speak. And we're going to do a practice today that um, is one way that the evidence is suggesting that helps us. And I just want to say just a word or two about why, what sort of the underlying theory is about it. And that is, uh, many of you have heard of that. Just sort of coming to me spontaneously right now, but that quote from Viktor Frankl in the book Man's Search for Meaning, that between every uh, trigger and reaction, there's a space, and we're really building off of that. And it's this idea that, yeah, we're out in life, and every once in a while when we make contact with life, something triggers us, right? And the nervous system is reacting, oh, I don't know if I can be with this. And if we're not awake, then between that trigger, the next thing we notice is a reaction. We've spoken, we've done something, and it's our old habitual reaction. And what that quote from Viktor Frankl is suggesting, and what uh, these new approaches in mindfulness and cognitive therapy are suggesting, is there's a lot of life in between a trigger and a reaction/response. There's a lot happening in this body mind, like body sensations, like thoughts and stories that we're already beginning to tell, like the beginnings of feelings and emotions, impulses. And what's being suggested is that if we can see these dimensions of living, these constituent parts of living, then we have a better chance not to be controlled, not to just walk down those habitual paths. And so the practice I have, I'll be guiding us today, and it taps into that framework, and it's called the 3-minute breathing space. And what I'll do is I'll guide it uh, maybe for the first and with a little more elaboration for the first 7-8 minutes, and then for the last 3 or 4 minutes, um, I'll just prompt you on when each minute goes by, and you can practice it on your own. Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll invite you to come into a comfortable position for yourself, whatever that means for you. For me, that means closing my eyes and directing my attention inward, tending to the body and bodily sensations, experimenting with how I might adjust posture to help promote ease and relaxation. We're looking for that fine line when we practice between relaxation and a gentle effort so that we're awake while we're practicing. You might roll your shoulders forward and back, let the head bob forward and back. Maybe gently turn the neck, the chin to the right shoulder, back to center, and then chin to left shoulder, back to center. The whole idea being is that hopefully these gentle movements produce pleasant sensations in the body, but perhaps not. Maybe that it touches on some tension or ease in the body, in which case, please to go gently and to offer kindness. But whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, the important thing is that we're noticing and we're bringing attention to those sensations as a way to come into the present moment. That's our doorway. So we begin this practice called the 3-minute breathing space. It heavily rests on awareness and mindfulness. It has 3 parts. The first part we might call a mindful check-in. Checking in with all these dimensions of living experience. So I'll invite you now to just check in with your body and what parts of the body, where in the body do the sensations speak most loudly to you, most vividly? Could be the back, stomach, head, feet, legs. And what does it feel like? Hot, cold, relaxed, tense, pleasant, unpleasant, super intense, not so intense. And then continuing with this first step of the mindful check-in, and what's happening in the mind? What thoughts are coming up for you in the mind? Oh, I don't know if I have enough time for this morning, or gee, I should have eaten breakfast before this, or I shouldn't have eaten, just, whatever it is. What thoughts? And now what feelings, what moods, what emotions are you feeling in the body, the heart space? Maybe a little anxiety. Maybe there's calm. Maybe there's happiness. Maybe there's sadness. Again, just checking in, training our attention to notice. Do I feel any impulses to speak or act in a certain way, pulling me in a certain direction? And what's my stance? What's my attitude to all that is being presented to me in the body, in the mind, heart? Am I resisting, wishing it wasn't there? Am I liking it, trying to grasp it, cling to it, hope that it stays forever? Just to notice, what's the stance? What's the reaction to all that life is presenting? Well, that's the first step. The second step is we're going to turn attention to your favorite place, your target in meditation, your place of refuge, a safe place that you go to. For many of us, it's the breath, but it needn't be. If for you it's the hands touching, that's fine. Noticing feet on the floor, sound. So we're narrowing the focus here to your safe place, your place of refuge, place that you often go to settle the mind down. and to experiment with approaching what's presenting itself, breathing, what is breathing, approaching your breath, and however you're breathing, allowing it to be there, just as you are. This is a narrowing of our focus, experimenting with calming the mind, approaching and allowing whatever's there to be there. Breathing is like this. Sitting is like this. So that's the second step. And then the third step is our aspiration to bring that spirit of approaching and allowing back to that full panorama of the body, mind, and heart. So can we bring that mode of mind where we're observing all that's happening with a spirit of curiosity, openness? Oh yeah, there's that shoulder pain again. There's that thought. Now, if we find ourselves, again, because it's a little more intense in the body and the mind, moving back into resisting or clinging, and it's always fine to move back to that second step, that place of refuge, calmness, slowing things down, and to toggle back and forth. Okay, so now in the next 3 minutes, I'll just prompt you for when each 1 minute passes by, and you can experiment with this practice, giving each of those 3 steps 1 minute each. Beginning now, mindful check-in, a minute to check in with body, mind, and heart. Notice if there's resisting or clinging, wishing it wasn't there. And now moving to the second step, narrowing the focus, directing attention just to your target, breath, hands, feet, sound. Just being there with that, getting close to it, approaching and allowing. And now the third step are experimenting with, can we bring that mode of mind where we're approaching and allowing with curiosity and interest, can we bring that way of observing to the whole panorama of our life, to the body, thoughts, feelings, experimenting with that. It's okay. I'm interested. And if you find yourself moving back into reactive mode, knowing it's okay to move back to step 2. And I'll count backwards from 3. And when I get to 1, I'll invite you to reopen your eyes and come back to the room. 3, 2, 1.
Thank you, Greg. It's really interesting to the practice. I think during a time where we might feel a little more unsettled, it's good to have that kind of a little bit more structure to our practice to give ourselves a guidance on those 3 steps.
Yeah, that's something I do every morning as part of my longer routine. And I find for myself, because I practice it every morning, that I turn to it during the day as well. That becomes the new normal. That becomes I wouldn't call it normal yet. I'm working on it becoming the new normal, but I'm working on that um, to help me get back to our original question, to help me respond to life in more grace and balance. Just that checking in. If you don't have 3 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, you get it, right? Anything is helpful here. Checking
Yeah, so
in.
what's an example of how you could use that in the office or in a circumstance out in life that people could relate to?
Well, for example, I have a meeting right after this class that I got a lot going on inside uh, about that meeting. So after we're through here, I'm going to engage in this practice again uh, and engage in a mindful check-in. Okay, so what's happening in the body? What's happening? What am I feeling? Um, got to fight or I don't, I got to take care of that, seeing, maybe aggressiveness is coming up or maybe passivity is coming up. And then, okay, all right, let me honor that's what's there. Okay. So we're not fighting with what's there, right? We don't want to fight with ourselves. That's what's there. And the whole thing about this practice is if we can see and honor what's there, then that's what's creating a little space around it. So we're not just acting it out in unconscious ways. It's when we don't see these things, or at least for me, it's when I don't see these things and acknowledge them that I'm more likely to react unconsciously. And I don't know about you, but then later on say, I can't believe I said that. Right. I mean, this is the normal human experience. And so there's a little bit more help in noticing that urge to maybe say that thing that I might be sorry for. And so, no, is there another way to say it? Or does it need to be said? Or just a little bit more awareness there. Um, a little bit more, right? to increase that capacity to choose, respond a little bit more rather than react. Um,
Mm.
I just find that so much what this practice is all about, and for me, what I call the miracle of mindfulness.
Mm. Yeah, that's wonderful. And that's something to work on for all of us, right? I mean,
Yeah. I mean, no matter where we are on that, right? That we start where we are. But I mean, the science suggests that we can train the mind to begin to see a little bit of that action between trigger and reaction. Train the mind to notice. Train the mind to breathe into it. That mindful pause, that moment of wise restraint, so to speak. Not about being passive. I want to be clear. It's still about choosing how and whether to respond.
Can you review the 3 steps again, Greg?
Yeah, I'd love to. The first step is the mindful check-in, where you're checking in with bodily sensations, thoughts in the mind, and moods and feelings. So that's step 1. Step 2 is narrowing the focus to wherever is your favorite target place when you meditate, your place of refuge. And when you're narrowing it, to cultivate that, it's a calm place for you. So you're cultivating that spirit of, I can approach the breath and allow the breath to be whatever it is. So you're reinforcing that approaching and allowing. And then the third step is, with that mindset of it's okay, approaching and allowing, to go back to the full panorama of your body, mind, and feelings again. And if you're finding yourself turning to reactive mode, it's okay. Go back to step 2, that safe place. You're always allowed to toggle back and forth with that.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you. And when you mention about doing this in the midst of meetings and life, checking in with the whole body, maybe giving ourselves an opportunity to pause, and then checking in again, as we prepare to have any response or reaction in our lives. So yeah, our body, like you said, our body tells us so much about how we're ready to respond to life.
Absolutely. If you do a search on the internet, 3-minute breathing space, you'll find some articles and help there. And Point 32 Health has something as well on their webpage.
Sounds good. So helpful. And what a great opportunity for us to just look at this practice in a different way. So we're so glad to have you here, as always.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, and great to have our group here this morning together and just processing and looking at all these opportunities for practice. I think this is it's great to be together to do this. So thank you all for being here. And
be well.
Yeah.
Be well, everyone. Find time to practice.
Yes, hopefully you will. And we'll be back here tomorrow morning. So again, thank you, Greg, and we'll see you soon.
Pleasure. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, all of you.
Yes, thanks, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.